Okay, today I'm going to go over the Austrian Grand Prix, and what I will do today is a data analysis using FastF1, Python package or library, whatever you call, and let's do a quick review of the race. So in the Austrian Grand Prix, there was actually 5 sessions, of course. Practice 1, then qualifying, race, and another set of qualifying and race for sprint race, because that was a sprint weekend. And what I'm showing here is the delta time plot for all the drivers except for Checo Perez, because Checo Perez had some issues and he didn't record a fast lap. So I just skip him in this plot for now. So the qualifying actually turned out P1 Max Verstappen, Leclerc, Sainz, Norris, Hamilton, Stroll, Alonso, Hülkenberg, Gasly, Russell, Ocon, Piastri, Bottas, Tsunoda, Joe, Albon, Sargent, Magnussen, and then De Vries, and of course Perez in the end, but he didn't record a fast lap, so I'm just picking out his delta time from here. Well, it's actually not delta time; it's actually the gap between the leader, the P1 driver, and each driver. And Max Verstappen marked the fastest lap with 1 minute 4 second 0.391. And the remarkable thing here is Norris finished in 4th in the qualifying. And another thing here, a little bit different from what we saw so far in other Grand Prix, is that Stroll and Alonso, the Aston Martins, didn't really finish strong in the qualifying stage. We're not sure why this is happening. We'll take a look at the more precise data later. So we're going to see how that happened, why that happened later. But just a take-home message is that Norris finished in 4th, which is the highest ever in this season, and probably highest ever including the last season, this season. They finished in P3 in Canada, but except for that, McLaren team didn't reach P5 in the qualifying session for this year. And of course, McLaren didn't finish strong. We saw a lot of the times McLaren finished in 19, 18, 20, bottom 5 out in Q3, but they made it through Q2, and Norris made it to Q1, and he even made it to top 6. And another thing to take a look at is Russell and Ocon. Russell was P10, Ocon was P11, and their margin was really, really tiny bit. However, Ocon dropped out of Q2 and Russell proceeded to Q3. Some other thing to take note is we could probably see some clusters for, the qualifying pace. Let's say Verstappen is, of course, the fastest one. Leclerc. There's a huge gap between Leclerc and Sainz, and literally small gap between Sainz and Norris. The same thing for Hamilton, Stroll, Alonso. They kind of look like they're clustering to each other. Norris and Hülkenberg are far apart from these 3 drivers. And Hülkenberg and Gasly looks like they're also making a cluster with these two. Alonso is much faster than Hülkenberg, and Russell is much slower than Gasly. So as well, Piastri in the bottom three, Sargent, Magnussen, De Vries. And probably you can say the same thing for Tsunoda, Zhou, and Albon. Okay, then let's look at the position by lap. Position lap by lap. So, sadly, Hülkenberg didn't make it to the end. It's this line. Even though Hülkenberg made it to, I think it was 7th place, P7. He started in P7, but he retired because of, I think that was an engine blow or something like that. And he didn't make it. Even though his pace was not bad. Well, his pace over here is not really good, so probably he had some sort of error for a long time since he started the Grand Prix, since the lights went out. Another thing to take a look at is, of course, Max Verstappen didn't yield the P1, except for when he changed the tire. It looked like only let lap for a few laps, probably like 10 or so. Only when Verstappen changed his tire, and Verstappen did make an overtake on the track, and I remember that Leclerc didn't really succeed in backing him up for a long time. It was a clear overtake for Verstappen, and Leclerc didn't really have power or speed to try to Verstappen back up. Checo Perez started in P14, and he made it to P3 in the end. Well, of course, if you watched the entire Grand Prix, you remember that Perez was trying to catch up Leclerc and got so many. He didn't get a black and white flag, but he got so many track limit violations. Of course, some of the drivers did. He didn't get the penalty, but he was so close that he can get a penalty, and he was trying to back up. Or he needed to be a little bit slower so that he can, not get, so that he don't get any sort of penalty. Some of the things to take a look at is, even though Norris had a remarkable qualifying session, he didn't really improve in the position. And so as another McLaren, Piastri dropped 2 positions actually, from 16 to 17. And Hamilton dropped position as well. He finished in 5th, but he took P5 in the qualifying session, but he finished in P7, followed by Russell. And Russell actually made a significant improve. He started in P12, but he finished in P8. So, 2 Mercedes are sort of on the contraries. And strolled up some positions. Overall, we saw a lot of overtakes compared to other races, like Monaco. We didn't have I don't really remember we had so many overtakes in Monaco. Well, typically we don't see, but since the car regulation changed in 2022 after the 2021 season, we should have seen so many overtakes, but it's not really spectacular from my point of view as we expected, I guess. Overall, Verstappen strong, Leclerc and any other drivers didn't have pace to catch him up. Okay, let's get to the lap time comparison. So in the first, I think that was in lap 1 or lap 2, we got a yellow flag, so everyone, why this lap time shoots up is because everyone pitted and changed the tire, made change to the tires. And of course here, Verstappen changed his tire to soft to get the fastest lap point. It was really eager for him, because Sergio Perez already got the fastest lap, but he wanted to take it back from his teammate. It looks like of course, the not the tail enders, but the middle, the cars in the middle are usually stacking up, and they have hard time to have more paces, so they usually drive slower than they can actually, like they did in the qualifying session or so. So they try to change the tires and do undercuts or overcuts to overtake them, not on the track, but actually in the tire strategy. I'm kind of wondering what this driver did. I think this is Bottas, because I remember Bottas had a little bit different tire strategy. So let's take a look at the tire strategy here. So let's squeeze a little bit over here. So we got actually 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 tire strategies overall. Medium, medium, hard, medium, 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 hard, medium, medium, hard, 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 medium, 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 hard, hard, medium, hard, hard, medium, hard, hard, medium, hard, hard, or medium, hard, 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 and medium. Magnussen and Tsunoda are probably the rare case for exceptions for this race tire strategy, because they changed their tires in the first lap and then they changed it again in the second lap. Everyone actually pitted in after this the lap 2 because of the yellow flag, which is a little bit weird, I would say. Probably the fast F1 data is somehow wrong, but let's follow the data over here. So Magnussen changed his tire. Magnussen started with hard tire, and then he changed it to medium tire, and then he again changed it to hard tire for the entire session. So he was probably trying to save the tire as much as possible and lower or keep the slower pace and be kind to the tire and make a less stop to go over the entire race with fewer tire sets and fewer pit stops to have less pit stop loss, to gain the positions. And Tsunoda, on the contrary, looks like he started with medium and he changed to hard tire and then to medium tire. This is the strategies for Verstappen and De Vries. So it looks like probably AlphaTauri has got the same strategies overall, but he somehow changed his tire in after the first lap and second lap, and then he stuck with hard tire for another 2 stints, and then he changed it to medium tire in the last stint. We probably have to go over his radio or so for the first 5 laps or so to see why they made the decision to change tires so frequently, because changing the tire is not free. They can get a free pit stop, but they still lose the time and they still have the risk to get overtaken. So we have to take a look at those. Overall, we got 3 majority tire strategies, which is like Verstappen, started with medium, hard tire in the middle, and then medium in the end. Or started with medium, and then medium again, and then finish with hard tire. Or start with medium tire and hard tire for 2 stints. So probably most of the teams have predicted that there should be 3 stints, and they were trying to allocate the medium and hard tire. Some drivers used 2 hard tire sets and 1 medium set, and other used 2 medium sets and 1 hard tire set. Usually they try to put medium in the end or in the beginning, but what's really interesting is here Valtteri Bottas. He actually made a weird tire strategy over here, and let's look at the lap time comparison over here. This sudden rise in the lap time is by Bottas. I remember that Bottas actually spun off or go off the track, and he needed to get back to the track for some sort of driving error. And he lost, it should be over here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 positions. And he needed to make some, difference. He needed to make some difference, and he made a different decision on the tire strategy here. So probably he wanted to do hard, medium, or something like that, like Guan Yu Zhou did. Well, his teammate actually did medium, hard strategy, so it might be a little bit different, but he had hard tire in the first, then medium, and into hard. This is probably because hard tire lasts longer, and he wanted to have less pit stop loss time, because he spun off the track, and that's what we see as a very bizarre tire strategy from Valtteri Bottas. And another weird case is from Alonso. Alonso started with hot tire and medium. What an incredible driving. He actually kept or saved his tire for a longer time than other driver did. Let's look at this stint in the middle. Well, Sainz also saved his medium tire a lot longer, but let's look at Perez. Alonso saved his tire longer than Perez did. then bots did, and blah blah blah. Actually, for the second stint or third stint, I mean the middle stints, most of the drivers picked up the hard compound, but the difference between drivers appear in the last stint. So Gasly was actually P10. So Gasly was the last point finisher, and Albon didn't barely make it to the point. So let's look at the top 10 tire strategy, especially for the last stint. They have picked up medium tire over the hard tires. Actually, they tended to pick up medium tires more over the hard tire, but this trend is actually flipped over for the bottom 10. I do not actually know why this happened, but this is actually a clear trend for the top 10 and the bottom 10. So let's look at the lap time distribution. So Gasly over here, Albon over here. This line is the bottom 10 and top 10. Let's just ignore Hülkenberg because he didn't finish the race. But so here, what we see here is for each vertical line, we plotted the lap time in the y-axis. And just ignore the x-axis for each driver. It doesn't really have a meaning in it. However, if we see wider, such as wider clusters of the lap time, that means the driver recorded similar lap times around that lap time, and each color in the dot shows the tire compound: red for soft, yellow for medium, white for hard tire. The universal rule. Clearly, we see a lot more yellow dots in the top 10 than we see in the white dots. This is probably showing that the hot tire was actually not fast and didn't really last longer, since the numbers of the stints are pretty much similar for all of the drivers. So the drivers who picked up the hot tire for their choice didn't really last longer than they expected to compensate the slower lap time over the fewer pit stops. Let's look at the last stint for all the drivers again. We don't really see the longer white lines over the yellow medium tire stints in the last stint. So this means the hard tire actually failed its function, I would say. This is probably due to the drop in the track temperature. So here in the middle, there was this plot actually shows the air temperature and track temperature during the race. The pink line is the air temperature, and the pink grid is air temperature grid. Red line shows the track temperature, and red dots or grid shows the track temperature grid. So we see that track temperature and air temperature follow pretty similar shape or trend or up and down until here in the middle of the race. However, even though the air temperature rose here, the truck temperature didn't rise at the same pace as the air temperature did, and truck temperature actually dropped down below what we see in the first half of the race. As you may know, that hot tire is hard to get warmed up, and soft tire goes faster. Medium tire, it's softer, easier to get warmed up, but doesn't last as long as the hot tire does. So probably the track temperature is the key here for point finishers and non-point finishers in this race. I'm going to upload the speed on the truck plot and the gear shift on the truck plot and some other plots for each driver in the second video. So this is just the overview for the Austrian Grand Prix, that analysis, but please follow and subscribe me on YouTube, and thanks for watching. Bye.